Welcome to episode 2, how to send estimates like a pro and send estimates that convert. Let's get right into it. So today we're going to talk about sending estimates and how to send estimates that convert and that make you stand out from your competitors. So sending estimates is probably more important than you think because this is a part that represents your company, is a part that represents the value that you can deliver, and it also helps you establish yourself as a professional in this field. And when I say this, because I remember when I first started and I used to send estimates, they used to just be very vague. It just used to say like video production with a number, or video production and editing and just like a number. So throughout the years of just working with different professionals in the industry, seeing how people are sending estimates, and even being on talking to people on the receiving end on how they was getting estimates and how they looked, I was able to start to craft and create my own that helps me along the way. So I'm going to actually share my screen for this, for most of this live right here, because I want to actually show you what the estimates look like, how I send them, and I'm going to show you different variations on how to send estimates depending on the clients and their specs, because everybody's a little bit different. So there's never like a one size fit all. So I want to be able to give you like options depending on the situation. So first, let me share my screen and show you what a typical estimate that we send looks like. So let's go here and share my screen here. Here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into preview mode, and I'm just going to walk over this estimate really quick. So this is what an estimate looks like. Of course, it's going to have some information. Of course, you can change this based on what you're doing. If it's marketing videos, hey, marketing videos. You're doing a live streaming, 3-day event, multi-day event, the name of the event, etc. So this is the breakdown of how you want to break your estimates down, and you want to do them in like line items. For video production, what we do is we do a line item for pre-production, labor, equipment, post-productions, and I threw accommodations on here because a lot of this isn't on majority of my estimates, but sometimes we have special occasions where we add certain things. So I just wanted to put that on there just to let you know that you can add things outside of like the framing that I have. Now, under pre-production, this is where I put everything from like plannings, meetings, consultations, if that applies, truck loading and gear sorting, and return truck loading and gear sorting. Now, I always put these on my estimates. One is because we spend a lot of time preparing our gear at home and loading our truck up and even driving to these destinations and then unpacking it and then repacking and bringing it back. And sometimes you have to rent equipment and rent vans depending on the bigger the job it is, or sometimes it may just be a personal vehicle that you're just loading up and unloading it. So it's important to make sure you bill for those. And then next is the labor. This is the staffing that's going to be involved. Quick note, none of these numbers here, these are just all plugged in random numbers, so they don't match, they don't line up. They're not equal to what these totals say, just as a reference. These are just for references. So back to labor. These are the people that's going to be on site. Who you got? You got a lead videographer, you got a camera operator, you got a photographer, you got assistants. Whatever it is that you're going to have on site, have them. And if you're like starting in your video production career or photography or whatever service-based job that you're doing, key thing to remember is that when you start getting bigger jobs, you want to have more than just yourself. Like a lot of clients, like if they see on one person, like they don't want to pay $10,000, $20,000 to like one person. When you have a crew, it helps justify the payments and how those things go. But we're going to get a little bit more into that pricing a little bit later. And then next is the equipment. It's important to bill for your equipment because all jobs are different and some clients have special requirements. And one big thing when you're creating these estimates, one thing that I do is I don't let the client dictate the equipment that's needed to perform the job. A lot of clients, when they contact you and they hire you, they They see the work that you produce, and in order to reproduce the same quality of work that they may see on your website, your portfolio, or whatever it is they're asking for, it requires certain tools. So you never want a client to say, "Oh, hey, we don't need 3 cameras, or for this job is one, or we don't need microphones," or whatever it is. Like, don't let them dictate if it's going to take away from the quality and the level you're able to produce, unless they clearly understand that. But this is something that I don't kind of fold on. Don't let the client dictate the tools you need to complete your job. As if you wouldn't want to go tell somebody else, if you do demo and they billing, all these high power electronic equipment, you say, "Hey, we don't need all this. We just want you to come in with a hammer." You're going to get a totally different results than what the professional knows the tools they need to complete that job. And then post-production, this is what's the deliverables. Recap videos, reels, photos, whatever that is. You can also put descriptions here to further break it down. I've done that in the past. But this is how a typical estimate should look, and it should be broken down, itemized, so that the client can see why they're paying so much. Because this is going to help separate you from others, especially if if another person just sent in just one thing that says video production, $10,000, right? Another thing is transparency. Like, we like to send estimates that are transparent, but at the same time, you don't want to be too transparent, because clients will nitpick at your estimates. And this is why I wanted to show this to you, because I want to show you like different ways on how you can go about pricing out stuff, particularly under the labor section. So like, this is a typical thing I do. I like to put like a labor summary. So when I'm saying about nitpicking is like, clients will nitpick at your rates. So like we have multiple ways that we do rates. So I'm going to come here into the edit section so we can just play around with some of these numbers. So if a client contacts us and they know what they want, they may say, "Hey, listen, we have a 3-day event. We're going to need you for 8 hours each day. So this is 24 hours. So this will be 24 hours. So like, I would bill them for 24 hours, right? I would put something like 3-day, and we'll have like 24 hours, like, because this is the labor summary. And then when it comes to rate, so for this particular job, I wouldn't necessarily say what our rate is. So like, this rate could be anything. So like, if we're working 8 hours, like, if I know my rate is, let's do something easier. If I just say my rate is $100 an hour, and I know I'm working, and we know we're working 8-hour days, then I would just put rate $800, right? And if I put that at $800, we'll put this at $800 here, and we know it's 3 days, that's $2,400, right? So this client, if they know exactly what they want, and they usually don't change that. They know what they want. They are, and they know they need you for 8 hours to get this job done. And if you know your rate is $100 an hour, so that means for each 8 hours is going to be $800. Now you have some clients who, let's say they like, "Hey, we only need you for 2 hours. We just need you for 2 hours for this one day, because this is a short event. There's only going to be a speaker or something that's going to speak for 45 minutes and something like that." For those kind of clients, I build them my half-day rate, right? Because in this field, you'll learn quickly that like, when clients say they just need you for an hour, 2 hours, it really don't work that way, because you're going to spend time preparing for the job, right? You're going to spend time getting your gear together. You're going to spend time loading your vehicle. You're going to take time traveling to that location. You're going to take time unloading. And you're going to want to get there early, like an hour early, maybe even more, depending for setup. And then by the time you film and wrap up and get out of there, that's a whole day. So at minimum, when clients ask for like, "Hey, 2 hours," like, we bill like for like, that's like a half day for us, because we know we're going to spend a half day, which is somewhere around 4 hours. So like, if you have a half day rate in mind, this is how I would bill for that. Like, under the labor summary, I would put half day rate, right? Half day or whatever. Labor summary be half day. And then for your rate for half day can be whatever you want it to be. If your half day rate is $800, hey, then our half day rate is $100, right? And then, of course, you still got your equipment fees that you're going to have on top of your rates and post production. But I just want to stay on like how to price out different laborers, because I've seen a lot of people talk about estimates, but they always just show one way. So I'm just trying to show multiple ways and how clients will come at you. So if you do know the exact amount of days and hours, and you feel like that client is firm with that, then I would bill them on the hours. I won't necessarily put my hourly rate for that, but I would know what my hourly rate is, and then I just did a demonstration of that. For second rate, my half day rate, this is my half day rate, and this can cover me up to 4 hours. So this covers everything within the 2 hour window that client gave us, that we know we're going to show up an hour earlier and something. We know we're going to be preparing even longer before that, getting our gear ready. So this is how I will go about that. Now, there are times where I may put my actual hourly rate for the crew and everything. There are circumstances when we do that, is sometimes if the, let's say the hours vary, like, sometimes if it's a full day, we can put full day and half day. But sometimes if they do want hourly, then I will put like whatever the hourly rate is for whatever we doing, let's say $150 an hour, if it comes down to it, depending. So another thing when it comes to billing in your crew and contracting different people, let's say we have an event photographer, right? Say we have an event photographer coming in, and whatever, let's say we charge them $150. The rate is $150. Change to $300. Raise $150. So whatever you building a client for, when you hiring outside contractors, you bill for the price that the company is going to make. Meaning that, like, even though you're billing for, like, let's say an event photographer is going to be there and you're charging the client $150 per hour rate, you're not going to pay the photographer that much. You're going to pay him, whatever, like $100 an hour maybe. And the reason for that is because the company has to make money, right? And the client is coming to you. So you want to give these contractors like a subcontractor rate. So the company always has to make money. So you have to make money. This is you're going to make money. And hey, you can, and out of that 150, you can write, maybe you paying yourself $100 an hour, but the company's going to make $50 an hour off each labor person. And that's how, when you building out your proposals, estimates, this is the back end. This is stuff that the clients don't see. This is just something I'm just throwing at you. So when you do building something like, hey, we need a photographer, how much photographer going to cost? Okay, if photographer's going to cost $1,000 a day, but you're going to pay the photographer $800 a day because the company needs to make that $200 a day off that client. Now, whatever your structure is, financial structure for your company, that's what you're going to do. But you just want to make sure when you're billing for the client, you're making sure that the company is making money too, because the company has to be profitable, yet the people still has to get paid. And then equipment, you must make sure you bill for equipment. Whatever that is, single camera package, 2 camera package, audio, live streaming. These are all just different stuff that you can have. Like, you want to put your lights in there, cabling, different things. You want to make sure you bill for these things, and these things are built per day as well too. It's almost as if they're renting it, so if it's a 2-day event, and whatever that total is, you got to bill that for 2 days, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, whatever that is. And I learned this from working with AV companies, and that's how they bill. I hire like AV companies that come in and do projectors and set up like lighting and all that stuff, and when they send me estimates, it's a breakdown of everything, like the labor that they're going to be there, how many days, the equipment that's going to be there, how many days, and those things are all charged per day. And that's how rental houses would charge. If you're going to go rent a lens, they're going to charge you how many days your equipment is. So when I charge for my equipment, I charge roughly around 5 to 10% for each piece of gear that I'm bringing, major gear. So 5 to 10% of the gear that you're bringing on site is what I charge per day. So that's how you're going to break down when it comes to equipment. Your gear, 5 to 10% of your gear, or whatever you like to do for that. I do about 5 to 10% on the gear, and then I charge by the day. Post-production, This is the video editing. If anything, you're sending raw deliverables, you gotta send an SD drive. If they want all raws on SD drive, you gotta bill for the SD drive and the FedEx packaging or the shipping and all that. Bill all that in. If we're doing multi-day events and we're like off-site, we always recommend that we be on site logistically. So there's a lot of reasons you want to be on site. So I always tell the client like, hey, when we do this, we do recommend we be on site. If you're providing that, cool. If not, then we have to bill you for our accommodations per night, per crew member, per day. So, and this is how you have yourself covered when you're doing like large events, multi-day events, and and then you have a lot going on. You want to make sure you're there or very close to the hotel because you have to be there every day. You don't want to get stuck in traffic. You don't want to be lugging gear and missing things and all through transaction. Logistically, it's always good to be on site. And this is standard industry. They know this. A lot of them even offer it. When I first started doing events, they were telling me, hey, we're going to pay for your thing and your accommodations. Like, oh, cool. Didn't even know that, but now I make sure I just have that formal conversation with them because this is very important. So another thing I learned, so in general, this is how your estimates want to look. You can itemize these how you like. You can break it down to the very dollar. You can be fully transparent with them with every single thing, or you can keep it still itemized, but not so much. Like when it comes to like half day rates, full day rates, you don't necessarily have to show your hourly rate. You just like, hey, this is the rate that we're going to be there. And sometimes depending on the client, you don't even have to put a labor summary at all. It's like, this is a job. They could be like, hey, we only need you for 45 minutes. You don't even have to put no labor summary at all. Just put what's your rate going to be. Rate 500. Rate, excuse me, 300. Sometimes you don't even have to put hourly, laborly. It all depends on how the client is contacting me, like how I'm going to go about pricing, right? But I always do have a standard half day rate, full day rate, and an hourly rate. I have all three of those available on standby for when I'm doing these estimates. So it all just depends on the client, how the approach was, how they're asking for the event, on which way I'm going to put it under my labor summary. If I'm going to show it hourly, if I'm going to show it half day, if I'm going to show total hours, whatever it is. And then sometimes you don't even have to put rate. You can just have the total. Like let's say both of these were 500 for the videographer, 500 for the event photographer. You don't even have to put a labor there. You can just put $1,000 right in here. There's $1,000 for that in like no labor summary. Just leave the you can put. Sometimes I like to put like one, like maybe you got two videographers or two photographers. You know what I'm saying? You can put two, and then now that's 1,500. Everybody's getting paid 500. You don't even have to break it down to where they even see the rates. So it all depends on how you want to go about sending that estimate. And this estimate is from waveapps.com. A lot of softwares out there offer the same thing. If you want to look for an estimate that has line items, you can just Google like estimate softwares. You can even find like free. This is a free too. Waveapp.com is free. So you can actually go here, set up an account. It's actually an accounting software that's free. If you wanted to like use that, similar to QuickBooks. But I like to use the estimate feature here because it's like pretty cool and it's easy and I'm just used to it. But there's other platforms that have the same thing where you can create descriptions, line item, add quantity, price, add discounts, and everything. You can even send this off to get paid, to pay your clients with a link that's embedded into this estimate. So that's a really neat feature as well. I don't use this to bill my clients. I just use this to send estimates because I use Honeybook for all my client management systems. So that's what I use to just kind of manage everything. But I do like that when I send estimates, like PDFs are so easy just to attach to an email and send it all. So this is really great. And in closing, when it comes to sending estimates that convert, again, like when you send in estimates, You want the client to be able to look at your estimate and know why they're paying a lot of money. Again, these estimates are when you start to start doing those 5-figure jobs, you want to have a nice, clean, polished estimate that's kind of showing everything. If they can look at your estimate and see, okay, I can see they got to load their truck up and bring it. I can see they got a crew of members coming. I can see they got all this equipment coming. These are deliverables that they're giving us. All justifies the price. And another thing I like to do, I'm going to show you right here is what is it called? I learned this from a guy that I met in Atlanta. He was telling me about preparation, how he liked to prepare for jobs so much that when he go into these meetings, when he sees the estimates, that they're going to hire him right away. So I took that to heart. So now every time I do a job, I always think about how much I can prepare and prep. And one of the things I like to do when I do jobs, right, I like to, for all my job that I do, I always create like little diagrams like these so we can know like cable runs for certain jobs. And I'm actually going to make a whole episode based on this. But when it comes to estimates, I want to just show you this. This is a good example to use. When I send estimates, sometimes based on what it is, I'll create a diagram like this. Like I had a client that said, "Hey, we doing a master class, and it was going to be like it was a 2-person interview set up like this, 2 people speaking, but they wanted to be able to see their projection slides on some kind of screen." So he's asking me like, how can I do that? Is this something that I can provide? And I'm like, sure, I can provide that. I'm like, and in my mind, I already know I'm gonna bring a TV on a rolling stand. I'm gonna have the laptop. We're gonna plug that in. It'll be close enough so they can see. We can have a 3-camera setup, one watch on both of them, and then a tight for each one of them. And then we're gonna have the booms coming in, and we have it light, etc. So I already knew how I was gonna do it, and I let them know that. But when I sent them the estimate, I went and created this diagram, and I attached this. You can do it 2 ways. You can either attach it to the email, or you can combine the estimate with this and send it all as one document. And this is one of the things that I like to do to help further separate me from other people, is like the preparations that's involved. If you have some kind of anything you have extra that can send with the client when you send your work, even if it's your portfolio, links, examples to your work, whatever that is, it shows initiative, it shows professionalism, and it gives them more confidence when it comes to like hiring you. So like, for me, them seeing this further helps even give them a visual that I know what I'm doing, and they even have an understanding how the setup's going to be. If they never done something like this before, or if they have done something like this before, they're like, okay, yeah, they know what they're doing because they sent over a diagram. Like, how many people are sending over a diagram of how the setup is going to be for when they do a job? So preparation is key. Sending a professional estimate, itemizing it, breaking down, showing them the value that you provide in the estimate, and any kind of preparation you can get to add is the perfect way to really, bring it home. So, has we not? Oh, okay, cool. All right, I think I'm still live. I don't know if my live stream ended, or if my screen was sharing. So hopefully you guys seen the screen share on here. I see the screen share. So we should be good. But yeah, so that's it for the show. If you found this show helpful, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. It's help my channel out. And subscribe and stay tuned for the rest of my videos. I'm going to do a lot more videos like these where it comes to video production and all the things I've done where I grown my business to a 6-figure business, like all the steps I've learned, like sending estimates, certain jobs I've been on, how to fly with gear, how to hire contractors, like how to work, all these different things. So just stay tuned, and we see you in the next episode. So let's stop sharing. All right.